Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for being here. Welcome to another episode of Couch Sessions. I know it's been a minute, you guys, but I'm so happy to be back in this space and having another guest to have dialogue with today with you guys. So let's kind of jump back in to where we left off. Rebecca, you got your drink?
I do. Sipping some matcha.
Good. Sipping some matcha. Good deal. Y'all, I want to introduce you to Rebecca McNeill. She is a newer relationship for me. I love that I have a friend across the world that gets connected to people, and you get connected, and it's just a great it's just a great experience to have people connect you to people who you need and you don't know you need them. And Rebecca is one of those people. So I'm excited to have her on the show to have her tell, about her journey and all that she does. And I am going to go ahead and read your bio, Rebecca, and put all your business out on the internet. I'm kidding. All right. So, Rebecca creates spaces where women can be honest with themselves, especially when life feels overwhelming or hard to hold. Drawing from her own experience with people pleasing, perfectionism, and self abandonment, she supports women in reconnecting with their bodies and building a steadier relationship with themselves. She approaches life through an artist's lens, meeting people as whole and complete, not as a problem to fix, but as living expressions of their own humanity. That's a lot. That's a lot right there. And so I'm really excited to talk to you about all of this. Rebecca's hobbies, she loves walks in nature, preferably barefoot, yoga, painting, reading, writing, going to the beach, trying new cafes, matcha lattes, as y'all can see, sewing, and contemplating life's mysteries. Again, Rebecca, welcome to Couch Sessions.
Thank you so much. I'm so happy to be here.
Yes, likewise, likewise. So that was a whole lot that I just read. And we're going to get through as much of it as we can in this episode. But I am going to give you the floor for a minute just to kind of talk about your background and, just kind of how you arrived a bit in this space. And if I think of something real quickly as you're talking, I'll go, hey, I got a question.
Yeah, sounds great.
Okay.
Um, well, I've definitely had a long, winding path that's brought me here today. I think for some reason, my mind always expects things to happen in straight lines. And the more I push for that, the more squiggly the lines become. So, I definitely wouldn't say that I had any idea that my life would turn out the way that it has and be the way it is right now in this moment, but I'm definitely grateful to be here. So, um, in a nutshell, I would say I was raised in a very religious home. A lot of, I think, like a lot of us, our parents were dealing with their own trauma and like ancestral things. So I was raised in definitely an environment of control, and that really filtered into the way that I related to the world. So I pursued a very traditional path, went to college. I was really interested in language, so I studied French, I studied Spanish. I got my master's degree in Spanish applied linguistics with the hopes of becoming a Spanish teacher at the college level, which I did do for a little while. Um, and I'd say that when I entered into the world of work, which I put off for a very long time because I was in school for a long time, it
Mhm.
was quite a shock to my system. Just the reality of that everyday humdrum,
Mm,
meaningless work that wasn't really fulfilling me and, getting paid, but not quite enough to be worth it. I was very disillusioned, and I think I was also really burnt out from being in college for all those years.
mhm,
So, I've had many crises, but I had like my, quarter life crisis about that time. Right around like my Saturn return time. And then kind of went into other directions. What do I want to do? What do I want to try? I worked all different kinds of jobs. Some, worked in like mortgage, so it's like very sales. And then I've worked in grocery stores and retail, all over the place.
Mhm.
Um, Meanwhile, having all kinds of different relationships, and I've been married and divorced twice, like before the age of 30.
Hey, that's all right. Been there, done that.
So, I think mainly what's brought me here today is that slowly along the road, and then at some point, I really turned and pivoted towards myself because I think a lot of the times down the road, I wasn't paying much attention to myself. I was just doing what I thought I needed to do, or what I should do, or what was expected of me, or what would make other people happy. And I didn't even realize it, I didn't have awareness of that.
Mhm.
But I became very emotionally and mentally unhappy, and that all that suffering really pushed me towards turning towards myself, which was also very challenging.
Mhm.
And so, yeah, I'd say today I'm in a place more of living a life that feels aligned to me and who I am than I ever have, like more than I ever have before. And what's coming up for me to say about that is that I don't judge any previous versions of me because there's no
Mhm.
way I could have lived this life then because I really didn't know myself and I really didn't know what would make me happy because I was kind of conditioned, or at least that was my interpretation, to please others, and please society and please culture. We all want to belong, we want to fit in, we want to survive. I think that's a big part of it too. I don't give myself a lot of labels, but I would consider myself a highly sensitive person, an HSP.
Mhm.
And so I
Mhm.
think I can't speak for other people's experience, but in my experience, it's a very vulnerable way to experience the world. And so there is a really deep fear of survival if you don't address that, like sense of
Yeah.
safety.
Mhm.
So belonging and being accepted and having people that you can rely on that help support you is huge. And so relationships are so important. And sometimes in the past, and even now, I can find myself clinging to them because they feel like part of my survival. I feel like as
Mhm.
a highly sensitive person, it's really hard to exist in this society because the society is like, oh, you need to be independent and do everything on your own and hustle, hustle, hustle. And everything in me is like crushed by that. Like hustling crushes me, staying busy crushes me, having to be 100% independent, never rely on anyone crushes me. I
Mhm.
yearn to be connected to others, be in community, um, have mutual support. I feel like that's
Yeah.
just, and to go slow and to not work full time. These are just like really
Yes.
deeply ingrained things in me, and they felt so wrong.
Mhm.
Uh, and maybe it's just like my perspective. I think I had a view of how things should be, and it's like I don't measure up. I every time I work full time, after a couple years, I burn out. Every time I
Mhm.
try to support myself and not live with anyone and be on my own, I burn out. It's not good. I'm
Mhm.
depressed. So for a long time, it's like, what's wrong with me? And then
Mhm.
at some point, I've been pivoting that to there's nothing wrong with me. How can I build a life where I can thrive in that environment? So I've said a lot. I can keep
Yes, you
going.
have.
I have one,
Um,
or if you
I,
have a
I have
question.
some thoughts. So
Okay, yes.
that was beautiful, beautiful laid out. Beautifully laid out. I There was something that you said very early on that I think is really, really important and very, very liberating. And you talked about your upbringing acted as a catalyst for how you showed up in the world for so long. And I think anybody who watches this will be able to relate to that. But then you also said that there was something that, and I'm paraphrasing what you said, there was something in you that, for lack of a better term, snapped and was just like, no, I can't. This is, I haven't been allowed to discover what Rebecca likes, what Rebecca wants to do. And I love that you said, I didn't know what I liked and what I wanted to do. And I think a lot of people get on autopilot in life, and the upbringing has the greater voice, and it will talk to us for a very, very, very long time, and we become conditioned by it. You were conditioned to please outside of yourself. You and I have that in common because I had a very rigid religious upbringing as well. And there was devotion externally and nothing looking in here, because this is a ball of mess, which is, you and I both know, is untrue. Okay. Talk a little bit about that. That little piece. I know I just gave you a little TED talk. Um, but that piece, because I feel like society now, and I will go as far as saying this too, there's a lot of women that I have encountered lately that have just said, girl, I am tired. I'm tired of this. I'm tired of running ragged. I'm tired of hustling. I don't want to do it anymore. I don't want to work full time. I want to focus on my creative endeavors and let those develop into whatever they need to develop, because I'm exhausted. You said so much in that, but I wanted you to kind of just a little bit touch on that a little more.
So, yeah, there's a couple things coming up for me. Um, the first thing coming up for me is as far as not knowing what I wanted and what I liked and what I valued. As I've been on my personal growth journey, I feel like a lot of the content out there talks often about, oh, return to the way it was when you were a child and what did you love when you were little and that kind of thing. And I can't speak for everyone, but I'm guessing I'm not alone in this, that oftentimes that type of conversation doesn't resonate with me because I don't really remember a time where I was just purely doing things that I loved. I feel like it was always conditioned by, or what's the word I want to use? Like there was some flavor of like maybe I'll love this, but also does it make me a good girl? Or maybe I love this, but also am I good at it? Am I being praised for it? So it was hard for me to, there wasn't like some blueprint to return to, some dream that I had when I was young. It was like I have to recreate this whole thing from scratch. I got to start, take one of every class and see if I like it kind of thing. And I think that can be, it's like, you know, you've never eaten food before and you got to figure out what kind of food you like. There's a million things to try. And I think that can be really overwhelming. You know, if you've built this whole life that's kind of working or looks somewhat put together from the outside, to slowly take it all apart and figure out what you want to be here and what you don't want to be here. And maybe the fear can be overwhelming of maybe I don't actually like any of this and I need to create something completely new. And what does that even look like? And I definitely got stuck there for a long time because, especially being someone that's like highly sensitive, and I was definitely stuck in like flight and flight, nervous system activation to release my grip on things that were known and provided some sense of comfort, even if it didn't fit just right. You know, it's like all my clothes kind of fit wrong and I outgrew them, but I don't want to take them all off because then I'll be even more vulnerable,
Yeah,
you know, before I find
absolutely.
new ones. So,
Absolutely.
I feel like I've gone on a little bit of a rant here,
You are not. I'm tracking with you.
but yeah, so that was the first thing coming up. And and I'm not sure if I'm speaking to your question exactly. The other thing that was coming up for me too is that I really don't, at this point in my journey, like, I think there was a long time where I was in a place of sort of being angry or like blaming my parents and, my the churches that I went to and the leaders there and just all the people around in my childhood, um, for not doing more, being enough for me so that I could have been more fulfilled.
Yeah.
But the farther I walk down this path, the more I see that it wasn't really, they weren't like character defects. It's not like these people knew the right way and did it wrong on purpose. I had a lot of emotional needs that needed fulfillment, and nobody around me knew how to even take care of their own emotions, let alone help a really sensitive kid with that.
Mhm.
So um, it's all just kind of part of the journey, part of the path. Um, Yeah, those were the two things coming up, but I feel like you were maybe asking something a little different.
No, I wanted you to, I wanted whatever came up in your mind and your body, I wanted you to speak on that.
Yeah.
Um, but I think that you made something, you made something real clear too in what you were saying of, the discovery of things for yourself. And you said very specifically, it might have been I got to take all these different classes to figure out what I want to do. And there is kind of like this societal norm that you don't do that. You pick one thing, you stick to it, or you're going to look nuts because you're trying all these different things. And I I think people need to get liberated of that mentality because how else are you going to know? Like, okay, perfect example. You might like matcha, but you might decide you want to try the black cherry matcha, or then
Yeah.
you might decide you want to try the banana nut bread matcha. And then you're going to figure out if you like the cherry one or the banana bread one. It's that simple. It's that simple. I just think sometimes it can get complicated in the overthinking and the conditioning of this is what it's supposed to look like.
Yeah.
And I think in your statement, you gave permission to people to, okay, if you take all nine freaking classes until, you get to the ninth one, you're like, okay, that's the one. That's okay that you took the other eight. You got some other stuff that maybe you gleaned a little bit of, but class nine is the ultimate class. That's the one that's just food for your soul and you want to take it and you want to run with it. Um, I thought I wanted to be in podcasting or broadcasting. Sorry,
Hmm.
I am podcasting, but broadcasting. And, you know, it was something that was kind of like, what's the longevity in that? And, I think like you, I went through a time in my life where I was just like, I missed out on all this stuff because these people couldn't get their shit together. Honestly, they didn't know.
Yeah.
They were
Yeah.
just following the example that was given to them, right? I did get into broadcasting, but I didn't go to school for it. I just turned on a camera and looked up some stuff and started asking people to come on the show. So I feel like it panned out the way that it was supposed to. And I love the freedom in the fact that I don't have to like be out interviewing somebody in a freaking snowstorm
Yeah.
or a tornado or a hurricane. I can just do it from the comfort of my computer or, my studio at home. I'm cool with that.
Yeah.
Some people get the adrenaline rush from it, but giving yourself permission to discover that and being open to it might just look a little different. It's okay. So I think you explained that very well.
I just have one thing coming up too about
Uh-huh.
that. That I think a lot of it for me too, it wasn't even just as simple as do I like this or do I not like this, but there was
Mhm.
also a whole orienting period of how do I know if I
Yeah.
like it or not? Because I was so out of touch with my own preferences and what does a full body yes feel like? What does a no feel like? With like
Yeah.
influenced by what anyone might think or what this might look like or if this makes sense. Like all of that was so mixed up together for me.
Mhm.
So I think trying the things is like that process of it was very necessary, but very uncomfortable because it's kind of embarrassing. I feel like I felt some shame as to be that far along in life, like, oh, I'm in my 30s and it felt very humbling to kind of start new. So first trying things new, like, oh, painting for the first time, this looks like a kindergartner. Like you have to kind of face your ego. And
Right.
then you're also like having to face the really uncomfortable truth that I don't know what I like. I don't know what I want, and I don't even know how it feels
Hmm.
when when it is a yes and when it is a no. So having to that's not just something that you develop overnight. That can be a
Yeah.
many year long endeavor.
Yes.
So, and it's just part of the process that can be very uncomfortable and definitely kept me stuck for a long time because yeah, I didn't want to go there.
Yeah.
So,
Do you feel like there was a bit of fear that you were navigating in that?
absolutely.
Hmm.
Absolutely because I think when you're conditioned in an environment of control, right? And then you kind of take that and that's how you approach the world. Um, there's a certain amount of letting go you have to embrace, like a certain amount of surrender to be honest and say, well, I don't know. And I don't have this figured out. And I'm not really
Hmm.
sure. That makes people uncomfortable, you know?
Hmm. It
I
does.
and
It really
it
does.
and it so like it feels uncomfortable for you, but then also you're like very sensitive so you can feel other people are uncomfortable with it.
Yes.
And there's this question of capacity. Can I hold my own discomfort? Can I hold other people feeling uncomfortable about it? Can I go to the family gathering and be like, I have no plan for my life and deal
Yeah.
with all the reactions to that?
Yeah.
So, there's a lot to, and maybe I overcomplicate it, but I think a lot of us do. I think a lot of us overthink these things,
We
and
do.
it's very common. So, yeah, it's messy. It's a
It
messy
is.
time in life, and it's uncomfortable being messy. And so, if it feels messy, you're probably doing it right.
Yeah.
Whereas I think the story I told myself a lot of the time is like, this is messy. I'm obviously doing it wrong.
Yes. Yes.
But yeah, that was coming up for me a lot to say because I think it's so easy, especially if you're on social media and like seeing people's nice little Instagram posts summing up life lessons in one little sentence, to think that it's very clear cut and straight line and no mess. And my
Yeah.
experience has been completely the opposite of that. And I think that's a lot of people's experience.
It
So,
is. I agree. And I'm gonna kind of pivot because you brought up social media.
yeah.
And I said in the beginning when we first started recording that, pretty much friends will bring you gifts and people that you don't know. And I needed to see you and meet you and come into your world. I think one of the biggest things that has been very motivating for me about watching you on social media, especially since you have been navigating that beautiful artwork behind you, is you are very vulnerable and raw in your recording and you're talking about what's going on in your body as you're creating, you know, this beautiful masterpiece that is not exactly the way you want it to be, and talking about getting real and raw in those emotions. And I think that you and I talked about this when we met to talk about recording. And I told you I loved what I see, the duality of your humanness and your divinity come out in those videos. And you don't see that very often for me. I don't know if I'm on the wrong algorithm, but I don't see that come out as much on some of the social media reels and things. I see everything just even polished, like really polished, even if it's funny. If
Mhm.
it's a funny video, it's polished. If it's an animal video, it's polished. Um, Yours is just like, hey, I'm doing this. I already hate it. This does not look the way I want it to look, but I'm going to keep going and I'm going to keep doing this. I have a question centered on what prompted you to start doing that with your videos.
Well, so the art, making the artwork ha on video has been a new development. I've
Mhm.
been trying to share consistently, we're coming up on a year now, and it's been really messy, and I've been trying to find my way with it because I do want to share, but sometimes it just felt like a lot of pressure.
Yeah.
And so recently, I was like, I came across actually another account of an artist, and it's a guy in the UK, which I can share his info if anyone's interested. But he was talking about how basically like just deconstructing our thinking around art and how there's no authority in art. Like there's no
Yeah.
ultimate authority. You know, people can make up rules and maybe there's, certain times in history where these were the way the art was coming out, but ultimately across all of humanity, art is just
Right.
something humans do and there's no right or wrong. And for
Right.
some reason, like listening to him just made me feel like very uninhibited. I was like, oh, like I am an artist.
Right.
I didn't go to school for this and I'm not very good at it, but I'm an artist because
Yeah.
really I do think all of us, we all are. We're
We
all
all are.
creating
Yes.
constantly. Our whole lives, everything in front of us is a creation. And I was like, this is something I can share. I'm doing my art every day and I can just share through my art, what my process is because also I feel like the art has been very healing for me.
Mm.
It's really helped me stay with myself in a safe place. So it's sometimes it's hard for me to, on a large scale, play in life. But if it's on a little 8 by 10 canvas, that seems like a safe place to play. And so
Right.
it's like a contained place for all of myself to show up and we can be messy like in this space.
Right. Of course.
Um, and so it feels like a safe place to play. And yeah, I want to bring something real to social media
Mm.
and I want to bring something also from a regulated place because
Yes.
I think a lot of times people are sharing like authentic and real stuff, but it's like their reactions, like, oh, I saw this thing. And so there's like still this element of like judging and blaming or trying to differentiate yourself, like separation, right? Like they're like
Mhm.
this and I'm like this. And I think with what I'm sharing, because I really do believe like we're all one. Like that's really the truth. The illusion is that we're these separate human beings. And so with the art, it helps me unify all of my parts and bring them all together
Mhm.
and be with all of them, even if there's like conflict and discomfort and disharmony. Like we can
Mhm.
all be here and together and still and like breathe through it. And I
Mhm.
think that is a powerful thing for others to experience as well.
Mhm.
I think when it's like, I hope that it can be co-regulating,
Right.
because I think that's what we're missing. A lot of people are missing. We want to regulate, we're having trouble regulating on our own, and it's hard to find people that are all like centered,
Yes.
I guess. And
Yes.
so I might not always be fully centered in my videos, but I'm attempting to bring
Yes.
this perfectionist part, like you can be here, and inner critic, you can be here, and little girl inside that wants to make a mess on the paper, you can be here. Like I'm inviting all of my parts together, and we're showing up on camera, doing our things. And it's like maybe someone else, someone else in their heart that's watching it feels like, oh, that's what this can feel like to be all together. I don't know if
Yeah.
that makes sense. It's so hard to
It
like talk
does.
about it because it's sort of like an energy thing, but I guess that's sort of my intention with what I'm sharing.
Well, and I love the space that you've created with it because I'm an overthinker too, and recovering perfectionist. So, I think I shared with you, I've done acrylic pours and came to me when I was very sick, and I found it very therapeutic and very regulating for my nervous system to do it. But then I started listening to the voices in my head too much about how it looked. And it is really, even my wife has been like, are you gonna start painting again? And so when you started it, I was just like, she is really hitting on so much that is so relatable from the standpoint of like, when your ego shows up and when you're trying to regulate and then you're creating something and it may not have looked exactly the way you wanted it to look, but you did it. And there was times you were recording and you're like, I can feel my breath getting shallow.
Yeah.
I think it's important that's part of being your humanness, the stuff that you're working through, you're regulating on camera, but then you're like, I'm going to keep going with this because I know this is in me. And it's been very encouraging and inspiring to watch, even from the standpoint of not necessarily doing art, even though I showed you some of mine before we got on the call, but even in just talking about navigating things, and it's not pretty sometimes. And just putting it out there, I think there's vulnerability is not valued enough. I still think it's seen as weakness. And it's actually very strengthening for people because it lights me up.
Yeah.
Yeah, the
I
realness and the rawness of it.
I think it can like it makes some people uncomfortable,
Hmm.
because it is scary. Being vulnerable is scary if you don't feel safe to be vulnerable.
Hmm.
Um, but I think there's a lot of people out there that they're wanting to step over that, like they're afraid, but the the negative repercussions of staying in that fear are kind of
Hmm.
pushing them to take that next step. And so
Exactly.
I hope to meet them there with these
Yeah.
videos, you know. So yeah, that's I'm glad that it's landing for you. It
It's landing
feels
for me.
it feels good for me, and I think that's really the only way I can judge,
Yeah.
because I really don't know how it's going to land for people. And honestly, like, in the big scheme of the world, there's not that many people watching, but it feels nice for me to make that. It doesn't
Hmm.
feel like a performance. It doesn't feel draining.
Hmm.
It
Hmm.
doesn't feel overly effortful. I'm not forcing it.
Hmm.
So, it feels nourishing to me because I talk about that sometimes too, things that like nourish us and drain us. And it feels nourishing to me. And so I hope that that can,
Yeah.
feel nourishing to others as well.
Yes. And you're right. Vulnerability is scary for people. And, they've had experiences probably where they were vulnerable and then it was weaponized,
Yeah.
or it just wasn't safe. You know what I mean? So I really think that there's these little, I don't know, little steps that the universe invites you into. Hey, and the more I feel like every time you do a video, there's even more vulnerability, and then there's more, and then there's more. And I love the fact that you were on one video and you're like, I'm about to start my period.
Yeah.
And it's so like, all these emotions are running real high. I might say something a little off kilter right now, but this is what's going on. And showing up in the fullness of that, I think I find strength in it and it inspires me and it encourages me. And I'm sure the audience that is watching you, I'm hoping they feel the same way. I'm going to pivot again
Yeah.
because I want to talk about you working with women and referring to yourself as a non-coach. Um, let's get into that a bit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I've gone round and round of what to label myself as far as the work that I want to do. And also, like to preface this, I'll be completely honest. I I'm just starting out. So this is like a heart-led endeavor, but I don't know exactly where it's going. Um, I haven't had any paying clients, so I'll just be really real with everybody. I've had a couple of free clients just to kind of feel things out and
Mhm.
see what I might be good at offering. Um, so, but yes, non-coach because I feel like people are like, "Oh, what do you do?" And people out in the world that aren't familiar with like personal growth world and spiritual things, a word that they might associate with the type of work I do would be coach.
Mhm.
But I'm definitely not coaching because
Mhm.
I feel like coaching is like, oh, there's something wrong with you. Like you have a problem and you don't know how to fix it. And I've been through that problem, so I'm going to help you fix it. Like I guess I want to say sort of like very masculine energy, right? Like we're just going to get down to this and
Mhm.
solve problems and check boxes um and you know, there's totally a place for that. I'm not dissing coaches at all. I think that's wonderful work and people make lots of amazing changes with those types of
Mhm.
individuals. But that's really not what I have to offer. Um, I think what I'm doing is more relational and it's more about creating a regulated space that someone can step
Mhm.
into and so that they can find more regulation within themselves. And
Mhm.
it's like a hard thing to talk about because I feel like a lot of what happens is it's not so much the words that we use to describe, and it's not so much like what we'll talk about. It's more of an energetic nervous system, like stuff that you can't see, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
But what's been so impactful for me on my journey, especially in recent years, is not so much learning specific skills or gaining specific wisdom, but being in the presence of someone that truly feels safe in themselves or someone that truly feels regulated.
Mhm.
Somehow, you know, I feel like I wanted to be that way, but I couldn't achieve it on my own. And being in their presence helped me, like shift, you
Mhm.
know? And so, yeah, I think that's why I'm calling myself a non-coach because it's sort of like coaching, but nothing like that at all.
I gotcha. More of support.
Yeah, it's support and yeah, support. We could put
I
it that
mean,
way.
that's the word that I should have phrased that like a question, but it's all good. Um, that's what it sounds like to me. More of, you know, supporting, um, supporting the person. I like that you put in your bio meeting people as whole and complete, not as problems to fix, but as living expressions of their own humanity. That's a mic drop to me right there. It's like, listen, we're talking about the spiritual world, and I'm a practitioner in the healing arts. Sometimes you can see things, or I have seen things on the internet that are presented in a way of you need this service, and it has this energy of I'm gonna fix you attached to it. Um, and really it's giving you tools to help yourself. And when I say help yourself, I mean like if you've never experienced energy work and you don't know anything about it, it's a good opportunity for you to learn about it. But then, again, me as a healing arts practitioner, I don't want you codependent on me.
Yeah.
I want you to take what happens in the session. And, if you feel called to learn it, fine, I can teach it to you. Then I want you to take it and replicate it and give it to the world.
Yeah.
You know, I'm here for you for support if you need me for something, but this is accessible for you. This is available, it's accessible to you. And I think you nail it with that of like, the person is already whole and complete in their humanity. Your artwork, hey, this is just something else that I do to help regulate myself. I still have moments when I'm doing it, and I want you to see the human aspect of that. I'm just gonna come alongside you, and maybe, I don't know, maybe you'll find. this could be helpful for you. But I think it's powerful that we see ourselves as living expressions, as you say, of our own humanity, because it's, I always say we are divine expressions of love, and it's manifested in so many various ways. There, I feel like creativity is like, that's the spotlight
Yeah.
with it. Not all things, but I just feel like you see the divinity come out in somebody's creativity, but you also see the human side come out
Yeah.
too. Um, and I would have never thought that this was something new for you, because you stand so solid in it from my perspective. I would have never thought that it was new. It's like you embody it. It's not, I never, like you're like, oh, I'm just getting started. Well, you could have fooled me. So, um, I know that you were saying that it's new for you. Have you made, as you've started this business, and you talked about, you've brought a few clients in for free just to kind of test the waters. Is there anything pertinent that you've learned as you've opened that door?
As far as how like I interact with other people, or what
Mhm.
do you mean?
Like how
Um,
you interact with other people, and then anything that maybe you've learned about yourself that you wouldn't have learned if you hadn't cracked that door open.
um, that's a great question. I think mostly for me, this has been one big giant experiment.
Hmm.
Uh, I don't know how it goes for other people, but it's become clear to me that I'm not going to know what things look like before they're happening.
Hmm.
I'm really being asked to just take steps
Yeah.
and let the image reveal itself as we go. And and that's very uncomfortable for me, coming from a background of wanting like people pleasing, perfectionism, overthinking, like wanting to control everything.
Yeah.
Uh, this whole experience is asking me to just have my hands open,
Yeah.
just release your grip. And so, these clients that I've worked with, it's just it's been an experiment in openness, show up for what they need and do the best you can and notice. I think it's,
Hmm.
notice like what comes up. Because just like when I'm doing art, and things come up like, oh, you shouldn't have drawn that line. Like I'll have conversations with people and it's like, oh, you shouldn't have said that thing, or oh, you should have, like all these little things coming up. So, it's just been an opportunity to meet myself more deeply. And I guess on like a spiritual level, I really do think, I'm dreaming this whole thing, right? So I'm dreaming these clients, I'm dreaming up you right now. So like, how am I going to be in this dream? Am I going to approach these reflections of me with love and myself? Will I
Hmm.
bring love to these interactions and love inside of me, or is the fear going to take over? So, this this whole like being pushed in this direction, I know it sounds super cheesy, but I really want to spread love into the world. And I
Hmm.
think ultimately all of us do. And so it's just about finding your unique way of doing that.
Hmm.
And yeah, as far as the clients, I'm sorry, I know I'm spiraling a little bit on what you asked, but that was
Yeah.
coming up
Okay.
for me. Um, the clients that I've had have been so different, they're in different places on their journeys
Yeah.
and um, have different perspectives on life and different intentions about what they want to accomplish. They're in different places with how much they want to grasp control and how much they're surrendering.
Hmm.
And I think going into it, it was like, I want to work with these people to see like what kind of program I can make. And coming
Hmm.
out of it, I'm like, I can't make a program.
Right.
There's
Right.
it's like trying to make a cookie cutter for that'll fit every single tree in the forest. Like no
Gotcha.
cookie cutter will fit the trees. They're all
Right.
individual and unique. And um So I guess that's been the most eye-opening thing for me. And then it's like, how do I present that to the world? Like, I'm just gonna make this bowl, and these are some ingredients that I'm bringing, and you just bring all your ingredients, and we'll see what we cook up. Like, I guess
Exactly.
that's kind of um, the conclusion I'm coming to, and the place I'm at with it is how on earth do I communicate this in words?
Yes.
So I don't know yet. I don't have that answer on the tip of my tongue. Um, but I think the other thing that's coming up for me, thanks for letting me go on and on. I feel like I think I'm just rambling.
It's all good. It's all good.
Is that one thing that I notice in myself, it's not so much like anyone that I wanted to work with, it hasn't been their communication of their offer that has convinced me. It's been
Right.
like, oh, they're saying interesting stuff or they're like doing interesting stuff and I want to learn more. Like I'm curious about this person. I'm curious about the way they live and I'm curious about how they see the world. And
Right.
that's what's drawn me in. And so maybe that's maybe that's all I need to do is just show the way I see the world and how I'm living. And if someone likes that and they want to know more, then they'll come closer.
I think what you just said, this is who I am. This is how I am choosing to choosing to live and show up in the world. I think that in and of itself, whoever's supposed to jump on that ship with you, they're meant to be on that ship. So,
Yeah.
Rebecca, we're getting close to time. No, this has been great. I was like, I looked up, I'm like, oh my gosh. Um, in wrapping up briefly, what I always ask like a deep question just for you to address the audience. What do you feel is important for anybody who is navigating deconstructing people pleasing, perfectionism, and self-abandonment?
The most important thing is our relationship with fear. So there's a lot that can keep you stuck in the mind when it comes to thinking about these behaviors that you're exhibiting. But I have swum in the oceans far and wide in people pleasing, perfectionism, and overthinking. I've done interviews with people to talk to them about their experience. And
Right.
if you boil it all down, there's a fear underneath. And
Hmm.
so if you're wanting to shift these behaviors, then it's imperative that you examine how you're relating to fear because fear makes us very uncomfortable and fear will cause us to get distracted by all manner of things,
It will.
but relating to it differently and changing that relationship to it. And I'm not saying I don't have a prescription. I'm not saying like you need to conquer it or you need to invite it in, but just notice it more because
Yeah.
that's really what's at the root. Um, and changing your relationship to fear will completely change your entire life. So
Yeah.
yeah, that's where I would start if I could laser beam point you to the direction the pain, like I'm thinking of like the pressure points in um what is it? Like in massage and in acupuncture, like there's
Acupuncture,
yeah, there's
acupressure,
like
yes.
this the little spot that will just like release everything. Like fear.
Yes.
I took many crazy winding journeys to finally come to that space.
Yes.
So, yeah.
Yes. And I love that you give people in your work, you give people permission to do just that, to allow yourself to go on the rabbit trail, spider trail, whatever,
Yeah.
the land where they need to do it. But fear is a big one. That's a big one. And I love that you hit that. I
Yeah.
love that you hit that. That is wonderful. I'm gonna say that I have enjoyed this conversation, and I will say that I appreciate of how you show up in the world, not only from your reels on social media, but even in your writing and how raw and authentic you are in your writing and revealing your humanity and your divinity, and all of it has just been a huge blessing. And um, I felt very strongly that I was like, I know you come to my writers group. So like, and when you first showed up and you started reading, and I was just like, yeah, I need to get to know her better because she is not about the bullshit. She is like, I'm going in
Yep.
and I'm going to reveal all of this part. And I love building community with people like that because it feels like the connection comes from a super deeply genuine place. And also showing up and, you use the word messy. I think being a human being and navigating life, it gets messy.
Mhm.
And we just sometimes you just need to do what you said. Just open your hands and go, okay.
Yeah. Yep.
Yes. Thank you so much for coming on the show. I'm sure I'm going to have you come back. I don't doubt that. And everyone, I am going to list any and everywhere that you can find Rebecca on all of her social media platforms and enjoy all the beautiful, rich gems and food that she puts out into the world. And I hope that it speaks to you on the level that it speaks to me every time I get an opportunity to watch her. So again, thank you for being here. I really appreciate you taking time out of your day to sit and chat with me.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Nat. I really appreciate this conversation and I
Yes.
appreciate you for seeing me.
Yes, of course. Yes, girl, I see you. I see you. All right, everybody, stay tuned for the next episode coming soon. Details of that will be dropping. And do not forget, your life has purpose. You are on this planet for a reason. People need to know that you are here. And most importantly, they need to hear from you. Thank you guys for tuning in, and we'll see you soon.